Sophie Lambert stands in the rain outside Luminescence, her reflection distorted in the gleaming restaurant windows. Water drips from her simple black coat onto her sensible shoes, her dark hair plastered to her face, despite the small umbrella clutched in her trembling hand. Through the glass, she can see the warm glow of chandeliers, hear the faint tinkling of crystal and soft laughter. A couple emerges, the woman's diamonds catching the light, the man's watch worth more than Sophie's car. They don't glance at her as they slide into a waiting Bentley. Sophie checks her watch, 7:58 p.m. Her reservation is for 8 o'clock. She's on time, barely. After 3 attempts over 6 months, she finally secured a table at the most acclaimed restaurant in the city. Chef Antoine Beaumont's temple to French gastronomy, the latest culinary sensation that everyone is desperate to experience. She takes a deep breath and pushes through the heavy glass door into the elegant foyer. The maitre d', Philip, stands behind a sleek podium, his tailored suit impeccable, his expression cool as he surveys the new arrival. His eyes flick from Sophie's rain-spattered coat to her lack of designer handbag, lingering on her simple black pants and flat shoes. His smile never reaches his eyes. "May I help you?" His tone suggests she's lost her way. "Yes, I have a reservation for 8 o'clock. Sophie Lambert." Philip makes a show of consulting his tablet, manicured fingers scrolling slowly. "Lambert, I don't see a reservation under that name." Sophie's heart sinks, but she stands her ground. "I confirmed yesterday. I received an email." She reaches into her pocket, retrieving her phone. As she pulls up the confirmation, a hostess whispers something in Philip's ear. He glances toward the door, where a group of well-dressed people have just entered, the men in expensive suits, the women draped in silks and jewels. "One moment," he says to Sophie, already turning his attention to the newcomers. "Senator Williams, what a pleasure to see you again." Sophie stands awkwardly to the side, rain still dripping from her coat onto the marble floor as the senator's party is warmly welcomed. The hostess notices the puddle forming at Sophie's feet and frowns, gesturing to a busboy who hurries over with a discreet, wet floor sign. When Philip finally returns his attention to her, his smile has thinned to nothing. "As I was saying, we have no record of your reservation." "But I have the confirmation right here," Sophie says, turning her phone toward him. "Anyone can fake an email," he responds, not bothering to look at her screen. Luminescence is fully booked every night, months in advance. Behind Sophie, the door opens again. A couple enters. The woman's fur coat probably costs more than Sophie's monthly salary. The man's shoes handmade Italian leather. Philip's eyes light up. "But Sophie begins. "Miss, please." Philip cuts her off, his voice hardening. "You're disrupting the flow of our service. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable at the bistro 3 blocks down. They take walk-ins." Heat rises in Sophie's cheeks. The humiliation burns worse than the chill of her damp clothes. She's aware of eyes on her now, staff, the senator's group, the fur coat couple, all watching this simple woman being turned away. "Is there a problem, Philip?" Chef Antoine himself has emerged from the dining room, white coat pristine, his reputation for perfectionism evident in every crisp line of his appearance. At 38, he's already renowned as one of the most innovative chefs in the country, his restaurant the crown jewel of the city's dining scene. "No problem, chef. Just someone without a reservation insisting we seat her." Antoine's eyes sweep over Sophie, dismissive and cold. "We are fully committed tonight. Every night, in fact." "I understand," Sophie says quietly. "But I do have a confirmation. I've been trying to dine here for months." Antoine gives her another appraising look, his mouth twisting with disdain. "Luminescence is a culinary experience, not merely a meal. Our clientele appreciate the artistry, the philosophy behind each dish. We curate our guests as carefully as our ingredients." The message is crystal clear. Sophie doesn't make the cut. A woman in a designer dress at the bar laughs loudly, pointing in Sophie's direction. "God, some people just don't know when they don't belong," she stage whispers to her companion. Sophie feels each word like a physical blow. She's faced skepticism and prejudice before in her career, but something about tonight, perhaps the months of anticipation, perhaps the rain soaking through to her skin, makes this rejection cut deeper. I see, she says, maintaining her dignity despite the burning behind her eyes. Thank you for your time. As she turns to leave, she hears Philip's voice behind her. The bistro down the street will be more appropriate for someone of your station. Sophie pauses at the door, one hand on the handle. Rain continues to pour outside, the night dark and unwelcoming. For a moment, she considers walking away, letting it go. But 20 years of fighting to be taken seriously in her profession straightens her spine. She turns back. You know, I was genuinely curious about the seep and black truffle emulsion that critics have been raving about, she says, her voice carrying clearly through the now hushed foyer, particularly after Chef Laurent at Le Bernardin mentioned being inspired by it. But I suppose I'll have to take his word for its brilliance. Antoine freezes, his attention suddenly sharpened. Dropping a name like Chef Lawrence, a culinary legend with 3 Michelin stars, is not something a random walk-in would do. You know Eric Laurent? He asks, suspicion warring with curiosity. We've crossed paths, Sophie says simply. Philip steps forward, his demeanor shifting slightly. Perhaps there was a misunderstanding with the reservation system. Let me check again. No need, Sophie replies. She reaches into her pocket and pulls out not a credit card or ID, but a small red notebook embossed with a simple logo familiar to anyone in the fine dining world, the Michelin Guide. The room goes deadly silent. Sophie Lambert, she says again, this time with quiet authority. Michelin inspector. I've been trying to evaluate your restaurant for the past 6 months. Tonight's reservation was made under my real name as a final test of your service standards. The color drains from Antoine's face. Philip clutches the podium as if it might save him from drowning. The senator's party and other guests watch with undisguised interest, suddenly aware they're witnessing a pivotal moment in the restaurant's history. A Michelin inspector, Antoine repeats, his previous disdain replaced by horrified realization. Yes, Sophie confirms, sliding the notebook back into her pocket. And so far, the experience has been illuminating. The staff exchanges panicked glances. Everyone in the culinary world knows that Michelin inspectors dine anonymously, paying for their meals like regular customers, evaluating not just the food but the entire experience. A restaurant with no stars desperately seeking its first, like Luminescence, would normally bend over backwards to impress a Michelin judge. Instead, they've just rejected one based solely on her unassuming appearance. There must be some misunderstanding, Antoine says quickly, moving forward with an ingratiating smile that doesn't reach his eyes. Your table is ready, of course. The best in the house. Actually, Sophie says, I believe I'll take your suggestion. The bistro down the street, Le Petit Coin, isn't it? I've heard their coq au vin is unpretentious, but sublime. She turns again to leave, but Antoine steps forward, genuine desperation now evident in his voice. Please, Ms. Lambert. One mistake shouldn't. It wasn't one mistake, Sophie interrupts calmly. It was a philosophy. You said it yourself. You curate your guests as carefully as your ingredients. That's not what dining should be about. I was speaking metaphorically. No, you weren't. Sophie's voice is soft but unyielding. For the record, the Michelin Guide evaluates food, service, and consistency, not the price of a guest's watch or handbag. The silence in the foyer is absolute. Even the senator and his party have stopped their conversation to watch the drama unfold. A restaurant with a Michelin star serves exceptional food, Sophie continues, but it should be exceptional to everyone who walks through those doors. The banker and the teacher, the celebrity and the administrative assistant. A great restaurant doesn't just feed the privileged few. It welcomes anyone with a genuine appreciation for the culinary arts. Antoine looks physically ill now, understanding exactly what her words mean for his ambitions. Philip stares at the floor, unable to meet anyone's eyes. Perhaps we could start again, Antoine pleads. Let me show you what Luminescence can truly offer. Sophie regards him thoughtfully. The Michelin Guide makes multiple visits before awarding stars. This was my 3rd attempt to dine here. The first time, my reservation mysteriously disappeared. The second time, I was told there was a private event, though I watched other guests enter freely. Tonight was your final opportunity. She glances at her watch. I still have time to make it to Le Petit Coin. Perhaps they understand something about hospitality that has been forgotten here. As she pushes open the door to leave, Sophie hears the furious whispers erupting behind her. She steps into the rain, which is slowed to a gentle drizzle, and takes a deep breath of the cool night air. A young server hurries out after her, distress evident on his face. "Ms. Lambert, please. I've worked here for 2 years. Chef Antoine is difficult, but his food is amazing. Please don't punish the whole restaurant for." "I don't punish restaurants, Thomas," Sophie says gently, surprising him by knowing his name from her previous visits. "I evaluate them honestly. And a restaurant isn't just its food. It's the complete experience. How it makes people feel. Whether it honors the true spirit of hospitality." Thomas nods miserably, understanding the dream of a Michelin star is slipping away. "For what it's worth," Sophie adds kindly, "your tableside manner during my previous visits was impeccable. Someone will recognize your talent eventually." As she walks away, Sophie feels the weight of responsibility that comes with her position. Her assessments can make or break careers, elevate restaurants to international acclaim, or consign them to obscurity. It's not power she takes lightly. 3 months later, the new Michelin Guide is published. Luminescence receives no stars, not even a mention. Antoine's investors pull out within weeks, and the restaurant closes by the end of the quarter. 6 blocks away, Le Petit Coin, the humble bistro run by an older couple who greet each guest like family, receives its first Michelin star. Their simple dining room, with its checkered tablecloths and mismatched chairs, is suddenly booked solid for months. When interviewed about their unexpected honor, the owners are bewildered but delighted. "We just cook with love and welcome everyone as if they're dining in our home," Madame Rousseau explains to reporters. "Nothing fancy, just good food and kindness." Sophie reads the article with a small smile, remembering how they had seated her immediately that rainy night, bringing a towel for her wet hair and insisting she try their special cognac to warm up. The cocoa vin had indeed been sublime, but it was the genuine warmth of their welcome that had earned her highest marks. On her desk sits a letter from Chef Antoine, full of apologies and explanations. He has closed Luminescence and is opening a new restaurant with a completely different concept. A communal table experience, where guests from all walks of life share meals and conversation. He's calling it Common Ground, and hopes she might visit someday. Sophie tucks the letter away. Perhaps she will, incognito as always. After 20 years as a Michelin inspector, she's learned that some of the most valuable lessons come from failure. She straightens her simple black coat, the same one she wore that rainy night, and heads out for another anonymous dinner at another hopeful restaurant. In her pocket, the small red notebook waits, ready to record whether the establishment understands the true essence of hospitality, that everyone, regardless of appearance or status, deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. Because in the end, a meal isn't just about the food on the plate, but about how it makes you feel to be seated at the table. If you enjoyed this story, please hit the like button, share with friends, and subscribe for more tales of quiet dignity and sweet justice. Drop a comment below telling us about a time when you were judged by your appearance. We'd love to hear your experiences.